Well, we're not going to start with talking about transfer portal drama, but welcome to the year of our Lord, January 8th, year of our Lord, 2026, the very first show of 2026. The Zooch and Wilde podcast, a special Thursday edition of the Zooch and Wilde podcast, surprise drop, because we want to get this episode out before the two semifinal games tonight. But before we talk about those semifinal games, holy moly, did we just watch some great playoff games, man. We'll talk a little bit about the first round. It was kind of competitive, not really. Some good games, but Zooch, the floor is yours. I don't honestly. Let's just dive right into the quarterfinal games. Zooch, the floor is yours for Ole Miss versus Georgia, and how Ole Miss is now playing 2 games away from the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, first off, it was the two best games of like the last week playoff. Any of that stuff was that game. And the Illinois State Montana State game was excellent.
That was crazy.
And we
Yeah,
don't talk
shout out
about
Montana
FCS.
State. Yeah, we have to talk about that. That was almost an all-time blow up by Montana State. That would have just been brutal.
And it was, you see how much these guys care because, and I felt terrible for him, but that quarterback from Illinois State just crashing out on the sidelines when the field goal got blocked.
Yeah.
And then to have the extra point block, that was and he scored on like what, a 4th and 11 or what? I didn't even realize that game was on, and I just happened to throw it on, and I was talking to Cody. I was like, Cody, is the FCS title on tonight? Because I thought it was going to be like basketball or something like that when I first saw it. And he's like, oh, yeah, he got all excited. But, I mean, yeah, that Ole Miss Georgia game was like, if I told you, if you told me going into that game, okay, these things are going to happen. Georgia's going to score on a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So you have that happen. You have the disaster at the end of the first half where Daquan Wright, for some reason, tries to go up the field instead of getting out of bounds for a perfectly designed play to like get out of bounds, kick the field goal. They get stopped. They're down 9. They get stopped on that 4th and 1 and like right around the 50. So Georgia takes the ball over. There are so many things that happen in that game that I'd be like, yeah, Ole Miss isn't winning that game if these things happen. But I will tell you, do you know what moment in that game I was like, made me think the most, like, uh-oh, they're in a lot of trouble here.
For Georgia or Ole Miss?
For Ole Miss.
Was the fake punt?
No, that too. I forgot about that. That was a thing on there that I was like, okay, that was concerning. The most concerning part was that missed face mask on Kewan Lacey with like 5 minutes left. I was like, you've got to be, and then all the penalties on that last drive. But I mean, it was, and like, I know Georgia fans are kind of giving Kirby shit right now, but he was right in his post-game press conference where he said like that game was a blast to be a part of, and sometimes they just like make a couple more plays than you, and that's what.
Yeah, no,
like you can't. I would like be upset if Ole Miss had lost that game, but I would also look at it and be like, like, and I would have been more upset because of that like face messing. But there was like, I didn't really think it was targeting that hit on Caden Lee that got the Georgia safety or corner.
I thought that was a little weak call as well.
So there's always plays in games that you can look at. Like, I mean, that one was bad. Like, it looked so bad that you're like, how did you miss that? Because everyone in the stadium was like, okay, like that was a face mask, but they got it done. And I mean, Lucas Canero, 3 for 3 on field goals of 50+ yards. Trinidad Chambliss, like, I think he was something like 31 of 45, but there's like 3 drops. And on that last drive after that bomb he threw to Deshaun Stribling, he like threw 3 straight passes out of bounds. Like he was like on a roll. Like if you equate like his like adjusted completion percentage or whatever, it was astronomically high. And you just can't like, I know the playoff has gotten a lot of shit and like people were arguing who should get in, who should, blah blah blah. This is why you have a 12-team playoff, because you have, or really, in reality, Ole Miss has never won a national title. Like they claim the one from 1962, but no, like come on, Indiana's never won one. Oregon's never won one. Miami hadn't won one. Last time Miami won one, Ed Reed was a starter on their team. Like, if you hadn't had the playoff, and I get people's gripes with it on both, like, on a lot of arguments, but you have a fan base who is craving a national championship, two of which, like, I think Oregon and Miami are much bigger programs than, and I realize Oregon hasn't won a national championship. And if you go back, like, Oregon didn't really become the Oregon like we know them now until about 20 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
20 years ago, people weren't like, "Oh, yeah," like, if, like, this split had happened, like, or these conferences, super conference thing had happened, I don't think Oregon would have been in the Big Ten 20 years ago. Oregon
No.
is shot up because they get a lot of funding, they bought into football, all that kinda stuff. Indiana is the most shocking one of them all. Like, you get Miami, like, Miami, and we've talked about it before, like, programs like Miami might go away for a while, they always end up coming back and competing for national championships.
No, it is interesting to see like the 4 teams that made it. And think to your point about the 12-team playoff, like I think you truly do. While this is what I always say, like to all the teams that were complaining on being left out, you probably didn't deserve it because the best team is always going to be in the top 12. Oh, you might miss like 1 or 2 teams, you know what I mean. But like that piece of hair is annoying me. Oh my god. Yeah. All right, we got that fixed. But like the best team's always going to be in that 12. And to your point, I do think like in years past, like teams like Ole Miss, they wouldn't have got a shot. I mean, we saw what Miami did to Ohio State. Ohio State in 2008 might be playing for a national championship automatic in the
Oh,
BCS
in the
because they're the number
14
two
pla
team.
in
Like,
the and if you still had, and this is where my beef comes in with the people who are like, get mad at, I'll put it to you this way. This week for Ole Miss, right? They're playing they're a game away from playing for the national championship. And not only that, but they basically re-signed all the guys that were
that was another crazy
thought to
part.
be leaving, like
Panic
Keywan
Pete,
Lacey,
Portal Pete.
Trinidad, yeah, Portal Pete, Trinidad Lacey, uh, Deuce, not Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight is who they want to bring in from Oregon. Deuce, the guys on the defense like Suntarian Perkins, like Caleb Odom is staying, Canero, the kicker is staying, the punter is staying. Like, you would not have had that even in the 14 playoff when it first started because I mean, this is like seriously, this is what the first time the Final Four doesn't have Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State,
Or
or
Clemson.
one of those teams isn't playing for the national championship. Seriously, since like I can't remember a time. I
If
think
you
it was like
include Clemson, if you include Clemson, it seriously might go back to the Florida State Auburn year.
oh, one game, yeah.
If you include Clemson in that, I think it goes back to the Florida State Auburn year. Underrated
So it's
Auburn
like
team, by the way.
it was, and like you have these other teams who have more of a chance, and not every like you're never going to make the sport where everyone is on equal plane. No sport is everyone on equal playing ground. Sorry, like that's not the world doesn't work where everyone's on an equal playing ground. But you have other teams who have stepped up, and like even Texas Tech, yeah, they got shut out, didn't look great offensively at least against Oregon. They got Sorsby. They're still putting money into the program, having better recruiting classes. Like I think they're most likely here to stay. Like I don't see them going anywhere, and that's what I thought people wanted. It's like, oh, this will make it more competitive, which it has. And like you said, if it was like even a 4-team playoff, and if it was still a 2-team and none of this NIL and all that stuff existed, Indiana wouldn't be there. Old Miss wouldn't be there. Oregon and Miami, you would have a little bit of a better argument than Indiana and Ole Miss, but it would most likely be Georgia or Alabama or Ohio State, maybe like an LSU, like someone like that. So I think people should be happy with how this playoff has turned out. Like you
Oh
literally
yeah.
have almost since the turn of the century, the first team since the turn of the century that's like hasn't won a national title. Like Miami
Oh
won
yeah.
in 2001.
And with all of like the pain that Miami's gone through, like, they might as well have not won one from the turmoil they've had for 25 years. But, I mean, we're gonna jump right into this, they're not the Peach Bowl, they're the Fiesta Bowl because I've been seeing okay, I have to ask before we jump into this game, man, what's the old Mrs. fan base opinion of Mr. Mintz?
I think it's like I think people like him, but also think he's like a lovable goofball, like in a way. So I
Okay.
think it's like because I think he's like kind of funny, and I think part of that too is like his like
Is it
shtick is like
laughing
I'm a
with or
moron.
at? Is
A
it
little bit of
laughing
both.
okay. I think I was picking up on some of the similar stuff in his video interactions. But Ole Miss, they jump right into the Fiesta Bowl, playing Miami, a team that we were talking a little bit off camera. I mean, it was a sneaky good game versus Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, but that defense, and we both called it. We said, and you called it especially. Ruben Bain and that D line is a problem, and I think
Yeah.
that again is going to be what will win Miami this game if Miami is to pull off because they are the underdog right now, correct?
No, Miami's 3.5 point favorite. I think the last time I saw.
Well, I'll be damned. But if I think that shocks me. By the way, that
Well,
does
I think
shock
it's
me.
because, and I want to ask you about this. So, and I'll be honest, like my bias has gotten in the way, and I've concentrated way more on the Miami Ole Miss game than Indiana Oregon. But I've been waiting my whole life for Ole Miss to literally have a chance to play in the national title. Does it seem though a little bit to you like people are like not discrediting the win against Georgia, but acting kind of like, oh, Georgia isn't as good as they normally are. But then when it comes to Miami and Ohio State, you would think it was like the greatest win in the world, which I think they are both really good
I think
wins.
you might be in an Ole Miss think tank
Because
right
I
now.
just keep
I
like
think
I
I've
keep seeing. Well, I'm talking about like podcasts I've watched and stuff. Like,
everything I've been watching has been like this Ohio State team maybe wasn't as good as we thought. Just how
and
they
that's what
said
I think.
like
That's what I'm saying. I
this
think
Georgia
about
team
that,
plays
and
tough.
I think they're both really good. And that's and we talked about it the other day. That was part of my issue with the Alabama Indiana thing. Is like people jump into immediately the Alabama shouldn't have been in. Sorry, they're not getting punished for playing in the SEC championship and losing. You can't have that. And if they wouldn't have played in that, they were 10-2. They would have been in regardless. Like they were in a spot to be in. Like there's no like you didn't have an argument for they beat Vanderbilt, take them out. Texas had 3 losses. I mean Notre Dame's the one you would have a somewhat of an argument, I guess, but regardless, I agree with you. Like I think it's like a little bit different in terms of Ohio State and Georgia. Like I don't think. Which speaking of Georgia, Gunner, and we've sang his praises before. Gunner Stockton is literally like Michael Myers.
He's good though. Gunnar Stockton, I'll tell you what, I got a feeling Gunnar Stockton is going to be like a 6 round draft pick after another solid year next year. I'm in on Gunnar Stockton. I've been in this whole year. I really do like Gunnar Stockton a lot. But
He's
like he said, it was just a close game against Ole Miss that
well, and that's kind of my. And I do think the Miami defense is like. I think it's probably the best Ole Miss has played all year. I think it's pretty similar to Oklahoma. Like they're probably better than Oklahoma by a little bit, but I don't think they're. Oklahoma's defense was phenomenal this year too. They just can't like complete a pass, so that's why they blew a 17-point lead to Alabama. But I do think, and I know they held Texas A&M to 3, and they held Ohio State to 14. But Ohio State has really, against the good defenses they played this year, kind of struggled against like who are the 3 best teams Ohio State played this year?
I mean, that's going to be the difference. I mean, you probably like Michigan, Indiana, and Texas. Probably the
Yeah,
3.
and
And
Texas they had what 14,
yeah,
Indiana 10 or 4. I don't
yeah.
remember exactly. I know they messed up. So their offense has struggled, and the same thing could be said for Georgia's defense. That's my point. Is like we're used to seeing like Georgia's defense like it's like 10 points a game is like their average at the end of the season, and Ohio State scoring like 40 something points a game. But like seriously with this one, I have no clue because they
Here's
both
what.
have looked beatable at times this season.
Mhm.
Like I mean, Ole Miss, I've watched every game. They've been like trailing or tied in the fourth quarter in like 10 games this year. So they could have lost any of those games. Like
I can I can
3
see
weeks
this
ago, people didn't
game.
think Miami should be in the playoff.
Look, I like Miami. Malachi Tony is going to be playing. I mean, he's lights out. I mean, I just looked it up. He was born in 2007, which is crazy to me that he someone that young can be that impactful at this stage. But I envision this game getting like very sloppy. I think this is going to be super sloppy game. I think both of these teams are coming off just like almost sugar highs that you have to crash. Both teams are going to be like the 7-year-old at the birthday party who just ate all the cotton candy and now their dad's like, "All right, we got to go home now." And both these teams are just like, "Oh crap, what do you like?" And now they have to play each other. I I think I tend to lean Ole Miss. I think if you really put
Um,
the gun to my head,
well,
I like Ole
my
Miss
biggest,
because
my,
the difference is you alluded to it before. Trinidad Chambliss is not Julian Sand, and even if Trinidad Chambliss can't make the crazy escape like passes and plays he was making against Georgia, he's not gonna make the, for lack of better terms, timid throws that I think was making in that game. I think that's where the difference is. But I mean, if like I said, it all depends on that Ole Miss O line and Trinidad Chambliss versus the front seven of Miami. That will determine the game. If whoever has the better game between those two units, that team will win the game.
when I think a big part too is, and I get Ohio State's defense is great and Texas A&M's is pretty good. I do think Miami is going to have to score more than 20 points to win this game. Like I don't see a place where Ole Miss does not get, and I would tip my cap if Miami holds them under 20 points. Like they had, no one's even come close really to that all season long. So I would tip my cap to them. So I do think that there's like and there's questions about the Ole Miss defense too because they do give up points. They're not what they were last year or anything like that. But that Miami offense has, like, in their tougher games, they've been able to get. Granted, they had the loss to Louisville and the loss to SMU, but when these teams have scored like 24 plus, they've beaten Miami, right? Like I think Louisville had won 24-21. I don't remember the exact score of the SMU game, but I think they had similar. And granted, Carson Beck had like 4 picks in that Louisville game. Notre Dame had 24, but Miami came out with 27 points. So I do think the Miami offense is going to have to do more than what they've been doing because, like, even against Ohio State, they had a pick 6 that gave them 7 points. They have 3 touchdowns the last 2 games, and granted, those defenses are better than Ole Miss's, so they'll probably score more. But to me, it's a fascinating game because you don't really in all of these like you don't. I don't think there's like a clear cut like you feel really confident like in years past when it was a Final Four and you're like, oh yeah, I think Ohio State or Alabama or whoever is gonna win this thing pretty easily. It's like you could convince me of any of these teams winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like I agree with you on the Miami defense. Like they're gonna have to. It'll be interesting to see if they like how many people they drop back into coverage because Chambliss is so good at finding multiple guys. Like I mean, you even saw it the other night. Stribling had multiple catches. Trey Wallace had multiple catches. Caden Lee had multiple catches. So he kind of doesn't like Julian's saying, right? Kind of locks into the 2 Ohio State guys. Like that's who he's going to, and if they're not open, he does kind of panic, and that's part of just being young. Like I think in the future it'll be like, okay, this guy got more catches, stuff like that. That Marcel Reed was just missing guys that were open.
Yeah.
Like we were watching that game.
Yeah.
So I do think like it's a fascinating game to me.
It's
I
also
did.
let's go for it before.
Yeah, and I had that. These are the 2 I had in the Final Four: is Miami and I almost said Ohio State, Miami and Ole Miss. and it's a great defense versus a great offense, and a lot of times the great defense comes out on top in this one. But like you're also just I don't like kind of getting this vibe with Trinidad Chambliss where it's just like kind of like a pitcher, right? And or a hitter in baseball when they get in the playoffs, and it's like every time
Yeah.
they get up to bat, like it's just
Yeah,
like
no, it's like
they're
that,
on a
and I
hot
think,
streak.
like, the whole thing with Kiffin, that's only, like, snowballing too. But yeah, I was gonna say all-time funny coach matchup. Like, I think we're gonna look back in a couple years and be like, and I think this is either the in 10 years, do you think this will either be the what the fuck? Mario Cristobal and Pete Golding coaching the semifinal, or it's like, holy shit, like Mario Cristobal and Pete Golding like met like pretty early in their tenures in the
Yeah,
semifinal.
for P. Golding 3 games into his tenure, and Mario, it's what his like 4th year, I think. And people
Yeah.
like that's what people like. Mario is getting me, and deservingly so. Like that when they lost to Georgia Tech and the
Yeah.
like fumbling and stuff, he deserved a little bit to get memed. But also, like I mean, good for both of those guys. Like you're that's another thing. You're gonna have a new coach win a national championship. Like
That is the crazy
and
part.
there's good storylines, like, no matter who like, if Miami wins and Oregon wins, it's Cristobal versus the team he left because
Oh
he
my
thought
god.
Miami was a better job, and if it's Ole Miss versus Indiana or Ole Miss versus Oregon, you got 2
Essentially a
teams who have
first time national champ.
essentially a first-time national champion. Like, it's great to me all around, like, you could
No,
just
I love it. I love it. I love it. But no, we'll jump into the Oregon Indiana game, the second playoff game, the one that's going to be on Friday, the Peach Bowl, Oregon Indiana. I want you to close your eyes, and if I were to tell you,
okay.
hey, this has been the best team. One of these teams has been the best team all year, with the number one ranking,
Anyway, I would
and
pick Oregon.
the no, I'm going a completely other different
Oh,
way.
okay.
Number one team pretty much all year, Heisman Trophy winner, like pretty like coach is a Saban disciple, and like they play pretty like clean football. Like they're very, very, very disciplined, and they play hard nose. And the second team is another Saban disciple who has the second best quarterback in the country on his team, and they usually are in the national championship hunt every single year. I want you to open your eyes. If I were to slap Ohio State logos, Alabama logos, Georgia logos on these teams, I think the media would be calling this the game of the century. I
Oh,
truly would. And that's not, and I think it's a disservice to how I'm personally more excited for what I think the chaos is going to be in Ole Miss versus Miami. But this is going to be, in my opinion, I think like some of the highest level college football we're going to watch all year. Like you
yeah,
literally have the
it's
number one and number two quarterback prospect playing each other. You have a team that is going to get essentially a rematch, and you have the Heisman Trophy winner, who the last time the Heisman Trophy winner won the Natty was what, Devontae Smith, and the
I
last time a
think so.
quarterback did it, it was Joe Burrow. Like we have been waiting so long for, like, very rare do we see like the Heisman winner just get like that perfect season, and like that's what's at stake right now. I am stoked for this game. Both these teams too absolutely beat the shit out of the teams that they played in the quarterfinal.
Well, and that's another thing, just sorry to interrupt you. I know this is a quick little questionnaire. Who do you think so you have the power four, right? We'll exclude the G5 right now. You have the power four. Who are the best teams in the Big Ten?
The best teams in the Big Ten right now are Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and then that fourth team. I would
Just
say
this
the
year. That's all I'm talking about. Just this singular year.
I would put USC over Illinois or Michigan. I'd put
Okay.
USC.
So those two are in, right? Oregon and Indiana. And Ohio State, I think you can make an argument for, and they happen to lose. Who's the best team by far? I don't care about the ACC championship, any of that, in the ACC.
Miami.
Miami. Who is the best team this year in the SEC? I think it's you could argue Georgia or Ole Miss, right?
Yeah, I
Maybe
would
A
probably
and
say
M.
Georgia. if you gave me 3 to choose, I would say Georgia, Ole Miss, then Bama, probably the teams that made the playoff.
Okay, so you have in your Final Four the best team in the ACC, probably the top 2 teams in the Big Ten, and probably one, if not two, they're still very close to Georgia from the SEC. What more could you want out of your playoff? Like that's what you want is like it like work this year. Like the best teams probably are playing, which is what you
This year more than ever, I think, has exposed what I call the frauds. It really has exposed what I call, and we saw it a little bit last year with the Dion hype, and I love Dion, but and you've seen it, and I know people listening have seen it. You get people, and they fall in love with brands. They
yeah,
fall in love with names,
helmet
and they
nerds.
don't
That's
fall
what
in
I
love with
call.
the game. And you see it. I don't mean to get cowherdy right now, but you see it in other facets of pop culture. People get too obsessed with the brands rather than the substance. And when they don't see the
Right.
brand they like, when they don't like, oh man, like they can't. And it's the same people who can't criticize the things that they like either. And they're just like, it's either I love it or it's the worst thing ever and we have to blow it up and it sucks. It's like, well, no, two things can be true. You could like it and you can make tweaks. Two things can be true. I love when the big brands are good. Miami being good
Yeah,
is great
we've talked
for
about for
the
2
sport.
years now how we
I
like when
also love
USC
that
is good.
Indiana and Texas freaking Tech were in the quarterfinals. Like I love that.
No, it makes it fun. That's what I'm saying. Is like for all the crap it gets, and I'm not saying that there's not problems with the playoff in college football. It's like I think the like perfect example, which I agree with everything you said about that Oregon Indiana game. Like it's I'm really excited about that game too. I'm just and like I said, it's biased. I'm more excited that a team I've been watching that like the legitimately like all my life up until that point, like that was the best case scenario for Ole Miss is like winning the Sugar Bowl, which I do kind of have a hot take on that, and I'm not sure you'll agree. But I let me explain it first. Do you think it would have been more fun to have been at that game that's in New Orleans, which is a couple hours away from Oxford? Like, for example, if like say we had gone to like an Ole Miss or something like that, we'd probably work in like Atlanta, Nashville, somewhere close to uh New Orleans, and we'd go to that game, right? Miami, and especially this one, the Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, would be a lot harder to go to. I'm of the belief that the national title is obviously a way bigger accomplishment. I think that game in New Orleans the other night would be more fun to be at if
Oh
you
no,
won both of
100.
them.
No, I've always said the Sugar Bowl is the most fun bowl game to win. I mean, and you just got to do it based off where you're at, right? I mean, Rose Bowl. Look, Rose Bowl would be awesome if they put the Rose Bowl where SoFi is, because then you could go to Hollywood afterwards to party. I mean, it's in Pasadena, so you got 5 hours getting out. I mean, the Fiesta Bowl is not even played in Tempe
I
anymore.
was
If it
there
was played
last
at the
year. It
old Sun
was
Devil Stadium, it's like in Mesa or Glendale. It's
it
like near
was
nothing.
so I'm not even kidding you. I went with my buddy Troy last. You know Troy. I went with Troy last year, and we lost, and that was part of it too. But you're so far away from like downtown Phoenix, and like you got out of the game. It's New Year's Eve, and everything is freaking closed. I guarantee you, shit wasn't closed on New Year's
Yeah.
Day and on
No,
Bourbon Street.
and you gotta look at it, man. And like Cotton Bowl's not even in downtown Dallas anymore. It's in Arlington, so it's another like, what the hell are we doing? Um, Miami, it's not at the OG Orange Bowl anymore. It's in like the suburbs in Miami
Yeah, and
Gardens.
that's my and
I can't
along to
speak
go
on
with that,
downtown
like
Atlanta though. I maybe downtown Atlanta can get a pop in. I don't know. I can't speak on
no, there's
Atlanta, so
stuff
I'm
to
not
do in
gonna speak
Atlanta,
for
and
it.
I was like, just saying too, like there is no way I don't think knowing you, knowing me, a lot of the buddies we went to school with, stuff like that. If that game that Ole Miss played in the other night was Boise State was in that, and it was a couple hours away from each of us, 4 or 5 tops, we would all have been at that game. It's a lot harder to get to Miami and pay for that flight and pay for $1,000 ticket, like especially considering one of the teams who's in the Final Four, it's going to be in their freaking stadium. Like Miami, like if Miami wins, like I'm sure their fans are buying a lot of the tickets, which they should. Like worst case, you sell it and someone will buy it. But no, I just wanted to get your take on that because I was like, and part of it too was like how that game went down too. Like I like I just know that it was like I was like seeing like videos and stuff of people at like 5 a.m. like still up drinking. Like I'm like, yeah, that would be a lot of fun to be at. But what we were talking about kind of the playoff and this Oregon. I really do want to pick. I want it to be Indiana versus Ole Miss just because that is two teams who have historically been, especially in Indiana's case, like they're the losingest flight program of all time. And I'm not taking a shot at them. Like Ole Miss isn't
So
much
they are
better. That's not what
statistically
I'm
the
saying.
losingest program of all time.
And you get this dude, and in 2 years he has you as the favorite to win the national. Like seriously, they're the favorite. Like they're playing a team they beat by 10 in Eugene, and 7 of those points came from a pick six. They kind of dominated that first game. So like that would just be cool. You would literally see, and it's with Miami too. Like I know and Oregon, they're both bigger brands and probably have more access to stuff than Ole Miss or Indiana does. But it's just I'm excited for both of the games. It should be
Indiana, I think, is a 3.5 point favorite in this game. I have Indiana winning this game. I think I just see like the Mendoza train just keep chugging. I think Oregon keeps it close though. I think it's just like I don't know. I think it's like that classic Oregon loss where it's like I guess they played well, but like an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 isn't going to beat a 10 out of 10. And I think
right.
Indiana is just a buzzsaw right now. So I do think the national championship is going to be Indiana versus Ole Miss, which would
That would
actually
just
be. Do you realize? As I also think people aren't talking about it as much, and I think people will if Ole Miss wins this game. If Ole Miss wins a national championship, Lane Kiffin better fucking win one in 4 years. No, and I'm being serious. Like, even as someone who doesn't like him, like, for his mental health, like, I will be pulling for LSU.
oh,
Honestly,
there is no
if Ole
there
Miss wins,
is
I will. I'm sorry to get off like Oregon, Indiana. Sorry to this is a very Ole Miss show, but that's the talk of college football right now. Is Ole fucking Miss. It's the SEC team, man. Maybe they're not. They are the hottest team right now. I do. I think Indiana's probably going to win the Natty. I just want to put that out there. I mean, we'll have a
yeah,
show next week where we break down the actual game. But if Ole Miss wins the national championship, I seriously will start pulling for LSU for the sake of like that family's like health.
well,
Like, no,
and you
I'm being
can't
serious.
convince me. If you go back to okay, so they win the Egg Bowl, right? He already knew what he was doing. Like he can say like he did his post game. He's like, I haven't made a choice. Blah blah blah. He leaves the next day, right? Tries to play the nice guy card of like, and there's you know different things coming out of like reporting and stuff. Like some people say he told the guy like, if you don't get on this plane to go to Baton Rouge, you're not coming at all. All that stuff goes down. He lets the guys come back, right? Most of the offensive, which I think people are blowing that a little bit out of proportion too. Like, I know the guys are pulling double duty, but like, Joe
Also,
Kotz like
do you
didn't
think
come
that was
back.
a
Like,
letback, or do you think that was like people like Charlie Weiss going like, "Look, I'm going back to coach, and if you want to fucking fire me, that's fine. I'll stay another year at Oxford and then get a bigger job
well,
next
yeah,
offseason."
I think he thought in his mind they'll win on the 19th or 20th, whatever day that Tulane game was, and they'll lose
To
New
Georgia.
Year's Day. They'll be in New Orleans. It's an easy 1 hour drive to Baton Rouge. Transfer portal opens. All that stuff happens. I think now he's like, oh shit, like they won, and you will never convince me that he didn't think like there was that leak, and he leaked it. Like there is, if I was sitting in a car with you and I'm a head coach going from one school to the other, same could be said for you. And I started recording, or you started recording a phone call I was having talking about players coming to my team. I would be like, turn your fucking phone. Like, what are you doing? Like, so he leaked that. Oh, like Kevin Smith and Kewan Lacey are coming. And I think there's a chance they probably Kewan Lacey would have went if they had lost to Georgia.
They got
I
chased
think
for a
there's a
natty.
chance. Like, yeah, like, but as of right now, they're all re-signed. Who knows even what that means exactly?
I mean, yeah,
But I think
so
he's like, oh shit, because he lost out, like I said, right now it looks like on almost everyone he wanted from there. I still think
And
like
Damon
Winston.
Williams. I mean, the big transfer portal drama with Damon Williams entering after he signed an agreement. I don't
He
know if
lost
you saw
Sorsby
today.
too. Like,
I don't know if you saw today. Uh, the legal department at UW won. So like Damon Williams has to stay at UW unless he wants to forfeit NIL money.
yeah. So
So
it's
like
he is going through it right now
it's
because
Levitt
he.
or bust. It's Levitt or bust. It's Levitt could pull up to Lane Kiffin like Tracks NYC. Shout out Tracks. By the way, if you haven't seen this video, it's my favorite video on the internet right now. It's the guy going, "Where's my effing money, mother effer?" at the jewelry store in New York. It's the best. It
Well,
seriously is uncut gems of real life. That's Sam Levitt right now at LSU. That
yeah, and I
he
mean,
that's what he can do.
yeah, and he's going. I think he was Tennessee. He has gone today, but you're right. Like, there has not been a lot. And like I said, no one will ever convince me that he didn't think they were going to lose it, which is fine to think that. I'm not saying like, oh my God, what an idiot. He thought that most people thought they were going to lose to Georgia. But if you like, it's not even just that they beat Georgia and like the guy, like I said, Joe Cox and someone else ended up staying. Like they didn't come back, and like Pete Golding is just like, I don't know, I'm not fucking paying them. Like I don't know if they'll be here or not. Like that's what he's like said about it. But Charlie Weiss is back, and they've made hires and stuff to like you're not changing up that much. Like you're not really doing that much position coach stuff. You're running drills and stuff like that, right? At this point in the season, like you're not doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Like you might be doing some recruiting and stuff, which is what those guys do. So it's not to me a huge deal that like the tight ends coach is not there in Glendale with like Ole Miss. Like Pete Golding's there. The most importantly, the effing players who are really good are there. That's what like gets lost in this whole like. And I get the coaching carousel is big and all that kind of stuff. Who wins you games is the damn players. Ask why Nick Saban freaking retired when he did. It wasn't because he wasn't a good coach anymore. It was because, oh shit, I can't have all the talent in the world anymore because stuff has changed. Like, I don't think Kirby Smart is any of a worse of a coach. It's just a lot harder to beat someone 65-7 for a national championship now than it was 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah,
whenever that game was.
it's insane with some of the transfer portal stuff right now. I mean, I do think we are, and I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. I think you're starting to see like the little seedlings, like this UW thing, where it's like they are going to start making NIL contracts legally binding. And like that is going to lock. And I think you're seeing it with 1 year deals. I think in the future, teams are going to start being like, here's a 3 year deal. So like even
You
if like
got to.
someone their junior year tries to pull a Demond Williams, it's like, as an 18-year-old, you signed here. And if you leave, you have to forfeit all the NIL money that we paid you. So hope you didn't buy that condo in
Right. Well,
freaking
they're going to have to, and
Cabo.
that's part of what and I know and you should listen to it. He's actually, what is that guy's name? I cannot think of that Texas Tech booster's name, but I watched an interview with him the other day thinking and granted, I'm not even hating on the guy. I would do the same thing if I was a mega oil guy, an oil man. I would be like, yeah, I'm donating a shit ton of money to where I went to school. Like, I can do whatever I want. But I thought, and I cannot think of that guy's name right now, but he actually gave like a pretty in depth, good interview about like how this stuff needs. He's like, and yeah, I'm playing the game right now, but like some stuff needs to change in terms of how we're doing this because I think it sounds well and all like, oh yeah, Lane Kiffin will give you $25 million for your NIL budget, and I still think he's going to do really good at LSU. I'm not saying he won't, but I like there's more to it than just like we've seen all kinds of teams paying these guys, and
You're already
that
starting
stuff.
to see donor fatigue. You're already starting to see donor fatigue at schools.
Yeah, and like if you're not, especially for schools that aren't being smart with you got to kind of, you know, be
Or aren't
smart
winning.
with,
I think the
yeah,
teams that
or
aren't
winning.
winning are like, shit.
Right. And, people will donate money if your school's doing good and stuff like that. But it's way more than just, oh, we got a lot of money. It's not like professional baseball, right? Where the Dodgers can be like, oh yeah, Edwin Diaz. Obviously, Edwin Diaz is a great closer, and you're like, yeah, we'll pay him $35 million a year to be our closer. It's not your money. Like, obviously, they use some of your money in terms of like you buying tickets and watching them on TV, stuff like that. But you're not nearly as mad at the team. Like, there are circumstances where it's like, oh, why'd they pay this guy this much money? But what happens with LSU if they don't get Sam Levitt? What if he goes to Tennessee or go? And I think he probably will end up at LSU. But what happens if he goes to Miami? Then you know these
Oh,
boosters and stuff who helped bring in Lane Kiffin, and I'm sure he told them too. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he told them, "Oh yeah, all these guys are going to follow me from Ole Miss." Because that was a weird thing. Because for forever, I felt like he was going to Florida, and like no one was kind of talking about LSU. And then they jumped in. LSU jumped in, and I'm sure he brings more than just like players. Like, he's probably the best offensive mind in the sport of college football. But yeah, like back to your original point, like the pressure's on him now in more ways than just LSU fans. Like, he is going to be a meme if Ole Miss wins the national championship. Like,
no,
he will be a meme. Like, it's
it'll be the all-time meme. Like, it'll be like you left you left right before like you saw the fruition of everything you created. It would actually be perfect. It would be so poetically.
it'd be the best him thing of all time.
Yeah,
Like
it actually would.
it's
That's the best way to put it.
like it's there's things keep happening with him that makes this kind of stuff. Like, there's a reason that like he's made so many people like crash out, and it's because of like stuff he's done. And it's not even stuff that like, and it's like his little trolling thing, like the Kiwan, like I've already talked about it, but the Kiwan Lacey video. Oh yeah, he's coming, like he's signing with us. So these guys were thinking, oh, we're gonna look at this guy Kiwan Lacey, who's spectacular. We're gonna get him, and then they get the notification Monday night, or maybe it was yesterday. Oh, he's staying in Ole Miss. Like, what the hell? Like, you said you were bringing this dude with you. Like, you said these offensive coaches would be here to recruit the day the portal opened and be recruiting all these guys that they were close with at Ole Miss. So, and like, and further terms of the transfer portal, like you look at some of the numbers these guys are getting, like Swarsby, which great for him. It makes me ecstatic to see these kids get this kind of money in a sport that, you know, tomorrow Kewan Lacey could blow his freaking knee out, or oh my God, Ruben Bain could tear his knee up and lose out on a shit ton of money going from first round to whatever round. So you know what? I'm thrilled that they're making all their money, especially because the coaches get paid such outrageous numbers. So yeah, we'll see. It's two great games. I don't think anyone, I know no one, if you can find me a single clip of someone in the beginning of the year saying the Final Four would be Ole Miss versus Miami and Indiana versus Oregon, they should have bought that like $1.8 trillion lottery ticket
Yeah,
that was out there the other day, because
seriously, no.
it's it's great, and it's people should be happy and should look at it and be like, oh, these are four really cool storylines too. Like, is the U back? Is like you have obviously the Kiffin leaving Ole Miss stuff. Kurt Signetti, which the funny thing about Kirk Signetti is people do love him right now, but if they turn into a powerhouse, he will become like the new like most hated
Oh
coach in
no,
America.
it's already happening. It's already happening. People are already starting to get annoyed. I mean, who's our friend on Instagram? The
Oh, yeah. Oh, what is
our
that guy's name? He hates him. Kurt Signetti is a piece of shit.
piece of shit. Piece of shit. Lucas Oil Stadium is a piece of shit. That was the
And
one that killed me.
if I told you when we laugh for I probably laughed at 3 days, and that person commented, "How long would it take Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal to get out of an escape room?"
Yeah.
Well, he's almost out. He's
He's
almost
almost
in the
out.
national championship, and that they're both coaching matchups are hilarious. Like if you really look at them, like you have Pete Golding, who they had to be like, "Bro, you got to go like get a haircut and stuff like that. You're the head guy now. Like maybe don't have
He's
the
like, "What do you
spitter
mean I
cup."
can't wear?" He was probably like, "What do you mean I can't wear freaking Olukais on game day as my shoes, like
I
Olukai flip
was
flops, or like Reese flip
dying
flops like
laughing.
a bottle opener."
I was laughing because me and you were like joking about it a few weeks ago because I like sent you the picture of him and he had like the genteel hoodie and the
Yeah.
Lulu shorts on. I was watching Ole Miss has this thing called The Season that I watch, and I was watching his like post game speech, and he had already changed out of like his coaching fit into that when he was like giving the players the speech. And you have Cristobal, who just like if you like or like put him somewhere, I was like, what does that guy do? And I'd be like, oh, he looks like the high school football coach who takes it like a little too seriously. That's what
Yeah.
I would think about Mario Cristobal. Signetti, like, kind of looks like a dude who is unhappy about like any order he gets in a restaurant. He's like
Yeah.
never happy. And Dan Lanning, well, we'll just be honest, he looks like he's on coke all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
what.
He is. Yeah. I mean, we saw what happened in State College. So we saw you, Dan. There's no reason to hide it. But we're gonna move on, end the show with a list. We always do. You guys know the list. If you don't, it's where me and Zach find tweets, message board posts, anything that we see on the internet, college football related, and bring them to you guys just so you guys can see the kind of sick stuff that we see. And by sick, I just mean sicko stuff. Like always, we neither support nor don't support these tweets, etc. We are just reporters bringing it to you. I will go first this week. This first one comes from Message Board Geniuses. And it's a screenshot of an Oklahoma message board fan. And the message board is Promo Lover. And he goes, in this message board, he goes, I have an idea to get NIL funds. Hear me out. We open up a daycare, we get federal funding, then we sign all the 5 stars. List. That guy gets the list. That guy gets the mega list.
There were some good list ones because of the portal, and that's what most of mine concentrate on. Like we have this was, and I don't even know who he's a fan of, but he just followed. Did you know, by the way, Danny Boy Kane is going with Mincy to the game?
Although I just saw something that they no longer have tickets.
They no longer have tickets.
I swear I just saw something that they don't. I have to look it up. I have to figure it out. Breaking news. Ben. Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh my god, I think you're right. That's just a meme. That's
Hey, I mean, no one deserves it more. He had to pull himself out of being the offensive
no
coordinator a
one.
few years ago,
He's the only guy, Danny Boy Kane, that's ever blocked me on Twitter.
and we
He
can't
blocked me on
figure out
Twitter.
why.
Oh, I said something. It was I looked it up and I couldn't find exactly what I said, but let's just say the dates lined up to when Miami played Cal last year.
Oh, yeah. My first one, and this was a great one. I can't figure out who this dude likes. His name is just at SD36036, and it says Texas Tech in the portal. And
Yep.
it's just a video of Cartman in the
Yep.
South Park episode where he thinks student athlete. Yeah, that was a great. If I was a Texas Tech fan, I would find that hilarious.
No, that was really really funny. My next one comes from at Rain God, and it is talking about the Demond Williams situation, and it said, "Demond, I'm out, guys. Good luck next season." And then it goes UW legal team with the video of Lee Corso, living legend, saying to the one kid, "Not so fast, midget." Um, just not okay.
Which I did, and I think he. Well, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with his thing. Like it's going to get messy. I did send that to Troy. Yes, this is the classic Troy reaction. I sent that he was leaving, and Troy's like, "Of course," after he shreds us. And then this morning, I sent Troy that one of the teams possibly looking at him is Oregon. I was like, "We're going to get just kicked in twice in a row by him." But my second one, and this is a 5-year-old tweet, but he's one of the best on Twitter. On the day of the January 6th stuff, Monkey Perkins tweeted, Tommy Tuberville gets sworn in and the Capitals defense immediately falls apart. I saw that and I was like, that is fantastic.
That is true. My next one comes from actually a little NFL one, if you don't mind. And it's just is from at Main Event Chris, and it's Stephon Diggs when there's no ketchup, and it is a video of Gunther choking out my Michael Cole. That is just
For those that don't know, Stephon Diggs is in a lot of trouble because he might be a psychopath.
yeah, he
So,
might be a psychopath. He had potentially some BBL chefs. I mean, even this quote tweet could be a list where at Big Business goes, bro, every new detail of the Stephon Diggs chef situation reads like a Tyler Perry movie.
come on. This one wasn't really bad. It was just funny because it's true, and it just is from Underdog, and they just said Gunnar Stockton whenever Georgia needs a big play, and it's that I can't think of the streamer guy's name, but it's just him absolutely getting obliterated. Which he did. I love Gunnar Stockton, and I
My
do
last
have.
one comes
Oh,
from.
good.
I have one more, and it comes from at Most Crucified, and it's a quote tweet. And the quote tweet was this is from a while ago, from Christmas, but I didn't see it until recently. It is ML Football said, this just said Kirk Herbstreit got Bo Nix last night to pet a dog for the first time in 20 years. For those of you who don't know, Bo Nix is afraid of dogs, and Kirk Herbstreit brings his dog, Pete,
To take a
right?
shit. Yeah.
Pete. Pete Herbstreit everywhere. And he was like, come on, like, Bo, just like touch it. It's just a dog. Don't worry about it. And someone said, because it was kind of back and forth in the comments going like, dude, Bo Nix obviously doesn't want to like be bothered with the dog right now. He's not a fan of dogs. So at Most Crucified said, well, someone should put an ice cold beer in front of Kirk Herbstreit and see how he reacts.
Okay.
That one might be meanest list of the year. That one that one just came with some hate. That one came with a lot of hate. That's
Well, we
probably an
were.
Auburn fan. Let me see. Well, he's followed by no context college basketball, so that's a good sign that this guy is a burner legend.
Well, speaking of Auburn, so
Oh no!
they've lost quite a few guys to the portal. There's been some pushback on Alex Golish. Anyway, they got a transfer from USF. It's USF transfer defensive back Fred Gaskin. Here is a picture of. Granted, he's got his stuff on, but that's a picture of him. And this Auburn fan just said, "Our whole team finna look like a Kodak Black music video."
Come on. Also, I hope Alex Golish does well, but do you realize the Twitter material we will get if Alex Golish is poor? I can just see like the Russian edits now. I can just see it now. We
They're already
saw the
being
full
built.
psychoticness of Auburn fans in the basketball game. Did you see the old guy? The no look drink toss? Insane.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. They're the Al Qaeda of college football. Auburn is like
they are a sleeping giant. Thank God they haven't been good the last couple of years.
Yeah, they will say heinous things about anyone who they deem. I did have one more, and it was an old one. Sorry, it was from Friday Beers, and it just says Mike McDaniel's breaking the news to Tua for the 11th time today, and it is just a picture of Dory the fish. I was like, okay, head injuries are not to be made fun of, but even though we do laugh, we don't make fun.
Well, we got a guy, Boise State, named Elmo Wartson coming to visit.
Oh, there we go.
He's from Modesto Junior College. So
Yeah, the Boise
Cody will
State's
like him.
had a rep. Chris Marshall left. Oh my God, what's the freaking corner's name? He
Also,
just signed.
can I say something? But before we close out about people leaving in the transfer portal, I don't know if this video or clip can find its way onto maybe like older sections of fan bases. Every portal exit isn't a bad thing. So when fans, if you're freaking out, oh my God, we had 17 kids leave the portal. Really, I would say do some looking on how much those kids played and where they sat on a depth chart.
Yeah, no,
Realistically,
absolutely. I
I'm
mean,
gonna guess only 5 of them are probably gonna hurt.
yeah, if you look at it like, I would say just off the top of my mind, ones that I think really hurt, like they're a great player, and I'm not including people like Lagway, who I think could be a great player, but still needs to develop a lot. Like Cam Coleman is someone who hurts. You're like, well,
Yeah.
shit, like that. He's great. Like you don't want to lose him. But yeah, you're right. Not everyone. People don't understand it, but especially now with these roster limits of like 105, guys get told, "Hey, get it."
You're
Like,
not gonna play here.
you're not gonna play. Like, and we're not gonna make it easy for you if you stay. And like, it's cut. They're getting cut. A lot of the guys. Like that's what it is. Like it's not. You know,
And it used to
always.
happen before the portal too, I will say. Maybe not as much, but it happened before the portal as well.
Yeah, it's that like it's a job. Like it is a job. And people can get as mad as they want to about it and kids leaving. Shit, man, if we obviously both love Boise State. If I was a great player there and someone came to me and offered me $4 million or whatever it is, Texas Tech is giving Brendan Swersby. Where is Boise State going to be in 10 years? Like, you know what will probably still be there if you're not a moron? That $4 or $5 million. And you have the next, if you live a long and fruitful life, you graduate at 22 years old. Hopefully, you're alive by 75 at least. Like, that's 53 years of like life without. I'm sorry, that means more to me than raising the blue chaos flag. So you can say, oh, not a Bronco if you like leave. Like I get it, you're a fan and it's annoying to you, but and at the same time, also the guys don't always need to release a thing that's like I grew up so much here, all this stuff. Just say I'm going. It's my career, and I'm going for more money. And I'll be like, all right, yeah, like
Yeah.
that's fine. Like you don't gotta just be
Yeah.
truthful, in my opinion, about it. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't bother me personally.
And guess what? To everyone saying, well, that's the death of college football, I will say the portal, I think you're already gonna see it start to correct itself. And I think you're gonna see it start to correct itself in the sense that not everyone gets picked up from the portal. Like
And it's not
every
always
every
a
every player
fix.
knows the risk of entering the portal. Like if you're not a starter, like you are rolling the dice. I don't care if you're a backup at Georgia. Like you roll the dice when you enter the portal with not a lot of game footage.
I
All
mean, a
right?
perfect example is like Malachi Nelson entered again today, and like
Yeah.
I don't know what went down at any of the schools he's been at, but I mean, damn, dude, like and I understand there's sometimes when like a guy does transfer and it works out, like obviously Joe Burrow, and like people are like, oh look, they found Trinidad Chambliss in the portal. That's a way different thing than a guy like the dude was starting in Division 2 and was like, okay, I'll go here
It
for
took
my
his
last
6th year
year.
technically as a grad transfer.
Yeah, like that's a little. I get that a lot more than you know whoever
Boise
that, like
to
you said,
UTEP.
yeah, like a dude who's not really started, who's been at 3 or 4, which I will like write a strongly worded email to the NCAA if freaking TJ Finley gets granted another year and they're like, oh no, Trinidad Chambliss, no. Like, Can you imagine? But yeah, it's two great games and the national title. Portal closes a week from Friday for everyone,
Yeah,
but whoever's left. And I think there's a oh no, it'll close the same day for the teams who lose
yeah.
this weekend. And you'll just see kind of on Ole Miss or on whoever wins Ole Miss, Miami, Indiana, Oregon, who leaves after the national championship game. But yeah, we're gonna start seeing. I mean, you've already seen some dominoes fall in that. I'm extremely interested to see where Cam Coleman goes. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens with LSU's quarterback situation. The Damon Williams thing, I'm excited to
Mhm.
see about. There's still some guys out there that are, I think, just doing their visits. And you know what? You should do that. Go see where you want to play. Go see what you're going to get paid. All that kind of stuff. So we'll have our
Totally.
show next week where we break down these two games, preview the national title, and then after that we'll have a post national title game. Probably do our preseason top 10 or whatever we did last year, and wait around for 9 months sending memes and
Yeah, I mean, March Madness is a good suppressor because that is like true. Just like college football is the sickos, college basketball is weirdos, and that's how I'm going to end the show. Zooch, that's
I
like
got
my
nothing
post
else.
Marvel like end credit scene. Zooch,
College
anything
basketball
else?
is a sickos. Nothing else. Watch the. You only got three left. You got three games left, and then you
There's
got. I mean, you got your NFL playoffs coming too. You got your Niners, which there was some funny John Lynch
yep,
memes after he crashed out.
yep. Though we're starting two guys who weren't on a roster at the start of the year at linebacker. So that tells you about the state of our team. But we appreciate all you guys for listening. Make sure you watch the games tonight and tomorrow. They're going to be great. And we will see you next week to talk about the Natty.